Hello, 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 hello. Hi, hi, hi. Let's learn some drawing things. Doody 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 doo. All right, hello everybody. Welcome to another lesson with your teacher Rod gone. So, Mr. Teacher, what should we learn today? Well, today, first of all, we are going to be drawing with a pen. We might be using the highlighter, and we might also be using our trusty little set of watercolors. All these materials cost less than like $3 combined, right? Our sketchbook might be a little bit more on the prettier side, and we have Illo sketchbooks. Illo sketchbooks are actually incredibly good. I really like them, and it's something that you guys should consider if you guys are testing out a new sketchbook. This one's a watercolor one. It's really nice and thick. But if you guys want to get just the normal black ones, those are even better. I like the 10 by 10s and the 8 by 8s because they give you a nice squared, like ratio, and it makes it super cool. So they send me free stuff too, so it's like, yay. Felix, what's up? Felix, how are you doing today? So I'm going to announce the winners of our sketchbook thing tomorrow. So if you guys want to still join our yesterday's goal meet, you guys can still go to the YouTube channel and like the last video with the heart. And you guys can still go get into that. I haven't gone and decided the winner, so you guys can still go do it. Okay? What should we do today? What should our goal be? Yesterday, it was 100,000 hearts and 400 shares, and we met that, right? So let's see if we can beat that today. Ooh, Puerto Rico. Can we learn about character design? Sure. I'm going to explain to you guys what character design means. Right? I can explain that to you. What does it mean when you want to go into the character design world? Right? What is this? What is character design? Right? So character design is a very relatively broad term, right? Obviously, it means that you are going to get to design characters. Characters can be anything from a super simple character for like an animation, right? All the way down to like villains and cool stuff that you draw for, like your stories. It doesn't have to be relegated to like a single type of cartoon or drawing or style. When you're a character designer, you have to have a lot of style ranges. Our styles are going to be asked of you, right? You're going to have, especially if you're working for a studio, you're going to be asked to jump from like SpongeBob to, I don't know, if that like series ever ends, you would get moved to something else. It might be something completely different, like Dora the Explorer or something like that, right? So you need to have a lot of variety of styles if you want to be able to go and compete with people that do character design. Second, you need to know anatomy like a pro. The reason being is that you need to understand anatomy, right? You need to understand it in order to modify it to be different characters. So if you don't understand how characters work, how are you going to ever draw different varieties of them, right? Even if it's a slight variety of it, doesn't matter. Like once you understand where the body parts go in a character, it's really hard to not know how to draw that part, right? It's kind of like forgetting how to draw an eye. Once you understand where things connect, then the style becomes irrelevant. You can draw whatever you want. Muscles, skinnies, chibis, whatever you want, because then you will understand everything comes from a certain spot. And it won't matter if it's a really big one, a little one, one that climbs on rocks. Whatever you want can be done knowing where things connect. So anatomy is an absolute important. This is anatomy. This is all anatomy knowledge. Knowing that your neck connects there, your arms connect there, your body is going to be a big shape that overlaps other shapes. And then things like that allow you to be able to pose your characters in a multitude of different ways that stop you from being constrained by anything other than your imagination, right? You got to get to the point where you can draw things like poses and characters without even thinking about it. And I'm not saying you can't get in the industry outside of doing these things, but it just helps a ton to be able to have these skill sets before you decide that you want to go do character design. Right? It's just going to strengthen your capabilities of being able to do things more. He's just grabbing this guy. It's grabbing an incoming meteor. And he's going to be Superman. Right? It doesn't, like, once you understand how things are supposed to be placed in space and they connect to the body, then you have a chance to be able to add your imagination. So you need to add a lot of imagination to this too. Which means you have to have a huge mental library. Right? You should be able to come up with characters on the spot without reference. If someone tells you, hey, I want a character that looks like a little kid that just went to a baseball game, then you have to be able to draw that without any concerns, without needing to be asked what that looks like. Right? A character designer, specifically like a character designer for film, is going to require a lot of knowledge and random stuff. You can also like give bad posing the kick in the nuts the moment that you learn how to draw perspective, because now you're going to be able to just draw in any way, shape, or form you feel like. Like you won't be constrained by angles. Okay, so being able to draw this, and now not just draw this, so kid, baseball, right? You can go ahead and create that character in a bunch of different ways, and whichever one they end up going with, that is the character that will be sticking, right? So you wouldn't just draw one, you would draw a bunch of them in a bunch of different ways, so that you can get the personality of the character, you can get like a little bit more of a feel of what they are, what they do. Try to add a little bit personality to it. Popcorn. Right? You go ahead and you create these things, but at this point, I'm not like the people that are doing this thing. They're not thinking, where does the eyebrow go? Where does the mouth go? How do you draw a hat? Those are questions that are just not there anymore because they increased their mental library to the point where they can draw anything from anything, right? They can draw hats in any way that they want to because they've probably drawn a quadrillion hats, right? They have probably drawn every type of hat possible because that is part of their job. Their job is to know how to prop characters and draw them in different ways. So you just become more inclined to knowing all these things because you need them for your job. Just like an architect would need how to draw buildings really good, right? An architect would need to be able to draw buildings to an expert level because that's his job, right? Well, a person that's trying to do character design needs to understand characters and body structures and anatomy to an expert level, because that's your job. Okay? Your job involves learning how to draw rib cages and collarbones and jaws and hip bones. That's your building. That is essentially your building. You need to learn how to draw these things so that you can actually draw them cool. Right? A box is not a building until they start adding the detail. Right? This is just the structure. You can add it and change it and do whatever you want with it. This is the same thing with this. This is just a structure, right? All this is just a little structure. What you decide to do with this structure is completely up to you. But once you have it, you can add mass to it. And at that point, you can start creating characters that are relevant to what you want. But you also need to know the muscle structures and how the muscles work to be able to do this effectively. Right? Being able to do this and then be like, oh, I just want a person with fat legs instead. And knowing where to add the mass to make that happen is the difference between a person that has anatomy knowledge and a lot of practice and a person that doesn't. So this is something that is invaluable when it comes down to character design. Right? You also need to know posing very, very well. So I've given you guys a couple ideas of how to work on your posing. Right? Start with some hip bones and a rib cage. Start with a flat pose. Right? Something nice and simple to draw once you figure out your body parts. And then from there, start ghosting your body moving in different directions. See how arms and legs connect better when they are moved from that same spot. Do the whole like Da Vinci, like guy thing, right? Like the whole ghosting and range thing. But also practice taking these into perspective. See what happens when you connect them to that same spot, but you go into depth, right? Once you know the placement of your arms, take some back, see if you can make it go back in space, and then see if you can make them go forward in space in a very simple way. Okay? See if that looks good. If that doesn't look good, change it. See what's going on that's wrong. Why does it look right? Why does it look wrong? Before you add anatomy to it. Right? And then when you add anatomy to this, that's when you start adding your muscle structures and your bendies and your foreshortening and stuff like that comes after. Understanding how things connect is first. Right? If I wanted a leg like up here, I would probably start with a leg just like sticking out into the distance like a stick, and then I would create my foreshortening by creating a big shape connecting to my hip bone. Same thing going back. Okay. As long as it connects to my hip bone in the right place, it's going to look okay. Right. Can you draw basic shapes like square or circle? Can I draw circle? Oh, I don't know. I think I can draw a circle. I think I can draw a square. I think I can draw a triangle too. I don't think that's hard. I don't think that needs to really be taught. I did a whole lesson on perspective and stuff. So this is going to get uploaded the moment that I get off the stream. So we did this one yesterday, and essentially I walked you guys through that whole concept of how to start from nothing, just starting with this, and how to end with this. So if you guys want to go watch that video, I explained it all yesterday, and it's going to be up on YouTube, hopefully before like 1 o'clock today. It's just uploading. Yeah, it's going to be reviewed, and it's going to be uploaded. So just go to the YouTube channel, and then you guys can see it there. Yeah, like essentially I teach you guys how to go into like how to go and how to progress from a simple shape to learning how to divide it, to learning how to apply that to draw character faces already, and how to apply that to profiles, right? And how to apply that to just about everything that you need to, and every stage of the way, how that stage affects the next stage. Learning how to draw boxes in perspective and then dividing that gives you your profiles, right? How to start using these two rules to be able to come up with things for the side. 1, 2, 3, stuff like that. So this is the stuff that I was teaching the other day. And this is something that's very important, especially if you are not very good at learning how to do perspective in like your field of vision, and you start like with your shapes and you start going to your vanishing lines. And if this stuff is really hard for you, right? Stuff like this is annoying and you can't really like figure out how to make a face out of that because boxy shapes are really weird. But you know, that's why I came up with this. So you can take any shape, divide it, any shape. It doesn't have to be a round one, and you can make that into a head really easy, right? So that's the 3x3 rule for profiles. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and all your features end up in that little middle section for some reason. So that is a fun rule that you guys can use to start with. And then from there, you can progress to add whatever styling you want. So if you had like a face and you did that, and you wanted to make it like more, I don't know, like comic bookish, like evil and like grimy, you would start adding more lines to create that feel. Your line work would tell a lot about what you're trying to do with your design. And the more knowledge you have about anatomy, like how noses work, cartilage, muscle structures, hairlines, stuff like that, like once you start getting used to more detail in your drawings, you'll be able to see that easier than not. And then you'll be able to actually draw in way more styles than you were used to before, right? So you can apply this to concepts, anything from like pinups to like things like that. It doesn't have to be relegated to just men, and it doesn't have to be relegated to a certain style, right? All these things are interchangeable between every single styling. It's just a matter of finding that perspective in that styling that you really want for that character. Okay, so it doesn't matter. You just have to find whatever works for you. A what? A T-Rex basics. T-Rexes, huh? So T-Rexes have big heads, right? They have a really big jaw. And they tend to have little eyes that wrap around their head. So they lay on this side. Right? That is essentially the top head of a T-Rex. The T-Rex, the neck is really, really thick, and it comes out from the back of their bodies. So it leads this way. Then from there, they have their rib cage. We're going to have to do this guy in like 3/4 because there's not space in it. So their rib cage essentially is something like that. The rib cage will lead to their little arms. So their arms will probably come out a little bit lower than a human. Right? But their clavicle is still there. So they still have a clavicle. They still have that middle point. So it still connects to their rib cage, just like they do with the ears with a human. Okay? They're going to have a little texture for the under, for the belly. And then the rest of the body is going to be dependent on the hip bones. So these animals have really long tails. So I have my rib cage here. This is the middle of my rib cage. My hip bones must be really close by. So I'm going to draw my hip bones back here. And then my legs are going to come out from my hip bones. And legs for dinosaurs are kind of weird. They're kind of like cats, right? They have like the really long forearms, and then they have like this curvature. So now I have my leg connected to my hip bone, and I can connect the top of my body to that part. Now I got to figure out where my other hip bone is, right here, and I got to come up with a pose for this foot that matches but enhances my pose. So it matches this one going into perspective, and I just match the bendy parts. Then I connect my shape, and I draw my belly, and then from here, that's where my tail would come out from. Right, my tail would come out from right here in between my hip bones. So my hip bones are here and here, in between. That is where my tail starts coming out from, and it creates the length. They have rigid tails. They don't have floppy tails. They had rigid tails because it balanced their bodies. And then we continue that little bottom line. Create some shadows just to ground our character and give him some depth onto a ground, onto a floor. And then we can start stylizing him by giving him really cool, like deep set eyes if you want to. It could be like a really cute one or a really creepy one. Start making some details for the, like the teeth. And then maybe like some little hairs underneath the jaw. Right? And then the moment that you add some color, that is when things just pop. Right? And just like that, you have a T-Rex. That would be the T-Rex basics. So when you're looking at a very basic concept of a T-Rex and you just want to draw like a really cute one, draw a big head, draw a little body, and then draw really big legs. Right. This is essentially the basic shapes for a T-Rex. Eyes really high up. So when you split this, make sure that your eyes are really high up and a little bit back. This is going to just go around the back, rib cage into the tail. Your jaw is going to be relatively large, so remember that. Your neck, into the legs, into whatever other foot you have. All right, so that's essentially it. You can add spikes, you can add wings if you want a dragon, whatever you feel like adding at that point. It's your design, so you still got to have a lot of fun with it. But essentially, this is how I would design a T-Rex if I needed to do. Always add a creature. If you add like creatures, like even simple things like this, it looks like it's a character, right? And it's like, oh no, run away from the T-Rex. No. Ah. The speed you drew those wings was insane. Well, the thing is, it's I've drawn a million wings, right? I've drawn like wings like a lot. So whenever I'm drawing wings, I just think of two overlapping shapes, right? This is curving, so it's creating like depth, right? This is two little sections, and then just add whatever details you want. It could be like feathery, it could be like demonic. It could be whatever type of wing you want, right? So once you understand wings, you can stylize them. Just like if you know how to draw eyes, you can stylize them. How do I make the body less stiff? If you want to make your poses less stiff, stop drawing stiff shapes. So if you're drawing stiff poses, you're probably starting with boxes, right? I have a very strong feeling you're starting with boxes, right? So if you start with boxes and just continue your drawing with boxes, your drawing is going to be boxy. It's just going to be the case because boxes are boxy, right? Instead of drawing your shape with boxes, no two boxes. Draw your shape with rounded shapes like bean bags, right? That naturally give you a curvature already. And everything in your body can be relegated to a beanbag shape. Beanbag. Beanbag. Right? Your foot can be a beanbag if you combine it with your ankle. Beanbag. Okay? Your arms are beanbags too. Beanbags. Beanbag. Right? Even down to your fingers can be broken down into beanbags. Right? All extremities in your body can be broken down into a beanbag. So if you learn how to draw a beanbag, you're never going to have a stiff pose because one side is already naturally curved, right? One side's curved and one side's squished. So you're never going to have a stiff pose. You're going to have to actively try to draw a stiff pose when you try to draw like that. You're going to have to go out of your way to draw a stiff pose. And by just drawing a slightly stiffer beanbag, you have a face. Ta-da! So everything is a beanbag. Everything's a beanbag. Everything's a beanbag in this part of the dream. Everything's a beanbag. How do you anthropomorphize day-to-day products? Well, if you want to make something look human, just add some human features to it. Let's say we have a cup, right? Oh, this is a boring cup. Oh no, how do we make this into like a character? Well, we can give it eyes. We can give it a mouth. Right? Give it some personality, like it's moving and like bouncing and stuff. Right? It doesn't have to stay as a normal cup. Like you just add a little bit of human features and it becomes a character on its own. Now I can take that little cup, which is just a cylinder, turn them around in a bunch of different ways, make them angry, right? Show a little personality to them. And now all of a sudden I have an entirely new character. I can add little things to make him a little bit more personalized. But at the end of the day, I can draw him any way I want because it's such a basic shape. Right? So if you want to anthropomorphize something, you have two options. You can give them facial expressions or you can give them arms. So if you have that same cup and you give it human legs and human arms, right? Then that cup, even though it doesn't have a face, it's still going to be anthropomorphized, right? So now you can do that with anything. You can do that with like a donut if you want. So it doesn't even have to be something. You can, at that point, have so much fun. Running donut. A jumping donut. donut sticking to a wall like Spider-Man. You know, like once you unbreak yourself from the stigma of just doing things the same way that everybody else has taught you, and you start loosening up your grasp on like how things are supposed to be seen and drawn, you're going to start seeing a lot of growth, especially if you're past the point where you are normally conventionally like following the lines. It's just gonna be something that progresses for you. All right. Where is it? There it is. All right, we have a bunch of people in the chat. This is the time for me to pitch my shit. If you guys like the way that I draw, please go buy my books. Buy me. There's 2 volumes, volume 1 and volume 2 of Art Block. Those are essentially all the sketches that we do on stream. All these things that we do to teach you guys how to draw some cool things. These are all the things that you guys see in my Art Block books, right? These are thousands of drawings help you, meant to help you get out of your funks and also help you learn how I stylize things from a person that has the mental library that is comparable to the Library of Alexandria. So you guys want to learn from me. That is the best way you guys can do it. And you guys can support me. Yay! You guys can buy my stuff and you guys can help me buy cool stuff to draw and stuff. Yay! Anyways, let's go. You guys can buy them all through the links, right? If you guys go to my page, just click here, go to my profile. There's a link at the bottom that says Stan. That's the Stan store link. That is my store. So you guys can go buy the books there. You guys can buy them printed. You guys can buy ebooks. You guys can buy consultation time with me if you guys want to get your portfolios reviewed or you guys want like some help with projects. I do offer those services as well. So if you guys want some one-on-one help, there's offerings for that as well. So you guys can have a lot of fun learning. If you guys feel like you guys want to help, don't donate money. I don't like donations. I do prefer you guys get something cool out of it. So I would rather you guys go buy something like my books or join my sticker club when it comes out. I'm going to start like doing the designs for the sticker club this week. The sticker club will be launching next week. So that'll be something that will be added to the store at some point. So you guys can subscribe to that. Yeah, essentially, like, yeah, I just love drawing. Hey, man, I own a pizzeria looking to get some art done for my new pizza boxes. Maybe we could collab. Hit me up. DM me. I'll shoot you my prices. Will it teach me what? To make comics? Or something like that? I don't speak much English. Well, that's going to be a little bit complicated. If you don't speak much English, it's going to be hard for me to actually explain to you guys the concepts that are going to be required for you to be able to create a cool comic, right? It's going to become like communication is very important when it comes down to teaching. So it's going to be very hard for me to communicate what I need you to do and learn if you don't know how to speak the language that I speak. But I do speak Spanish too. So if you are a Spanish speaking person, you guys can hit me up. I want to know about comics too. Well, what do you guys want to know about comics? What questions do you guys have about comics? Let's see. Let's draw like Cyclops, like blasting a beam, like, and then he's gonna be yelling like, because he's always yelling. And he's grabbing his little vice. X-Men. So what do you guys want to know about comics? What is it that you guys would like to know? Hello, yeah, Amazon delivers everywhere in the world, so you guys can just order it from anywhere. So learning how to do the panels in your comic, there's no like science or trick to it. It's all storytelling. right? If you are not familiar with the concept of storytelling or storyboarding, you should try that first, right? See if you can tell whatever scene you want to do within individual panels. Don't worry about don't worry at all about making them look pretty. Like if somebody's coming into the distance, get used to drawing them coming into the distance, right? Or going into the distance. Get used to people moving and objects altering as you get your frames. Learn how to move things in space. Imagine you're like drawing a scene and you have 3 people in the scene. Okay? Try to draw the perspective of each one of those people, even in a simple situation like this. Right? Then go and what the other person, this person would see them more like that. Right? Very distinct, but little tiny things help you be able to visualize things in a different perspective. Like, I know, like right now I made them all the same shape, but if you made these like a circle, a box, and a diamond, then you'd be able to distinguish them better. Diamond, box, circle. And that one is like, I don't know. I think that was the box. Circle. So if you start doing things like this and start visualizing things like this, right, it's going to be so much easier for you to be able to do storytelling in general, because you can't just make every frame a super epic frame. Like, not every frame is going to be them looking into a city in the background with mountains and a cityscape, blah, 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 blah. Not everything is going to be a majestic landscape like that, right? Most of the time, whenever you're drawing a storyboard or a comic, like the transitional parts are going to be the ones that get you, like not the action poses. You're going to have like a cool action pose in the middle, like fighting, and like maybe he has like Wolverine claws, right? So you're going to have like this epic frame, and then the one where you're just literally like looking back at the character or something like that is going to be the one that you mess up in, because it's not really cool and dynamic. So you're going to like not do that really well. And then you're going to wonder why it doesn't transition well, right? Your epic pose was like really cool, and then like my setup shot was really cool, right? But at the end of the day, it doesn't look well because the storytelling doesn't flow. So it's just going to be something that you're going to have to actively learn how to do first, because storytelling and comics go hand in hand. You need to learn how to tell a good story to be able to tell a good comic. If you don't tell a good story, your comic is going to be garbage, even if it's really cool and rendered amazingly. Like, the story is so much more important than the actual content. Bro is speaking his own language? What do you mean? What's up, Corey? How do you study anatomy realistically in a cartoon? Well, anatomy in itself, like, realism comes from shadows, right? Realism comes from not drawing any shadows and knowing where everything goes, right? Like, that's what realism is. Realism is not line work. Realism is just a bunch of like shadows that create like an illusion of something, right? That's what realism is. When you're drawing realism, you don't draw lines. So stop thinking that you're going to be drawing realistic legs the same way you're going to be doing realistic or cartoony stuff. You're just not. Like, a cartoony leg can be anything from a cylinder, ta-da, to a more dynamically drawn shape, right? This is all still within the realms of cartooning. All of these. Okay? So whenever you go into realism, it's not about the structure. It's, you got to know this structure perfectly already. So you need to know all this stuff already, and then you have to apply contrast, shadows, and know where the anatomy goes for your shape in order to create those realistic looks, right? You got to eliminate the lines, and you got to learn how to bend your shapes with just shadows. And that's not necessarily the easiest task. That's why people go to life drawing. That's why people go, like draw naked people with cool lighting so that they can get better at doing that. Right? So people go to life drawing so they can learn the anatomy, they can learn the shadows, they can learn all that stuff while they go and they draw like fun poses from people. But realism in itself is really, really complicated. And that's why not many people can do that properly either. But cartooning in itself is the whole other side of the spectrum. You need to learn how to simplify things and actually make them look accurate, right? You need to be able to take something that you know how to draw and simplify it and add depth that does not exist. Like, because all these things that I'm drawing has never existed before, right? So all this stuff that I'm drawing is just completely new. Like no one's I'm pretty sure someone's drawn something similar, but this exact thing was not taken from reference. This was not taken from, Pinterest. This was not taken from anything like that. So this is still just literally an original drawing that was not based on anything except anything that's on my brain. And that, I find that fascinating. Right? Being able to create something from nothing and have it look accurate is a fascinating skill that we should all aim for. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys for redirecting people to the right place. I do appreciate that. I don't always get a chance to look at the chat because I'm not like constantly looking into the chat because I'm drawing. So I do appreciate all the people that redirect people to my YouTube channel and the people that redirect people to where to buy the books and stuff like that. You guys are the MVPs of my stream. Seriously. Without you guys, I don't know where I would be. Probably not making any money. That's probably where I would be. Are those angry cans? Yeah, somebody asked me how to anthropomorphize like objects. So you can do it through facial expressions, or you can add limbs. And that's the easiest way to anthropomorphize, humanize any object. All right. Okay. Please help. I can't find the book. Go to my link. Go to my link right here. Go to my thing. Right underneath my profile is going to say a link. Okay? Underneath my name, there's a link. Click the link. That takes you to a store. At the top of the store, there's my YouTube channel, Instagram, stuff like that. And then there's all the options to buy the book. All right, so you guys can do that like that. Can I draw a tornado? Yeah. There's a tornado. And then we'll add like a little house or something, just for scale. No! Run away! The tornado's coming! Actually, you gotta copy something to actually learn how to draw accurately. Yeah, I mean, you need to learn how to draw like simple things, like spheres and stuff like that, so that you can later apply your imagination in whatever way you need it to make it look accurate. Someone asked for a tall frog, so I'm gonna draw a tall frog. And of course, a tall frog needs his top hat. We're gonna give him a little tuxedo. gonna wrap around his body. And he's gonna be like a showman, like pa-pa. So a tall frog, again, figures for scale. So now he's huge. The drop building in the back. Oh, look at the tall frog. Oh no, he's gonna destroy the city. What did I draw or master first? I learned how to copy people first, but that was a very bad mistake. So the reason that I focused on copying people first was because I would just wanted to draw something really cool. Right? I didn't know how to draw with shapes and I didn't know how to identify all these features. So I just wanted to draw something really cool. So I would gravitate to a lot of styles like, like Grimm's. I was like the Adventures of Billy and Mandy was like a really big one that like drew me in because it was super easy to draw. Right? It was like super simple, cartoony stuff. And it was just like super easy and it looked good. So I spent my time copying that style. Right? But the thing is, I didn't know what I was drawing. Like at this point, I was just drawing a style. So I could draw a lot of characters within that styling, but I did not know what I was drawing. Like I wasn't understanding the shapes. I wasn't understanding like the concepts behind it. I just knew how to change things and make them look cool. So that took me very far. That took me about 15 years into my career, right? Of just learning through style. But then I started getting offers to do things that were more complicated than my skill set allowed me to do because I gave the idea of the representation that I was actually a lot more skilled than I was. Right. So I started getting like gigs to do character designs for animations and I started getting like comic book offers and stuff like that. But that was really hard for me to do because I didn't know how to move my shapes. I just knew how to draw like individual shapes really good. So I was able to do cool posters and cool like things like that. Right. If it was a single image, yeah, I was able to do it like a logo or whatever. It was like really, yay, I can do it because it doesn't have to move. But the moment that you asked me to draw a comic or like a sequential thing, it would be like the disaster because I did not know how to move my shape. So you'd have a wildly inconsistent characters, right? Wildly inconsistent, like frame to frame. And it wasn't until I started realizing that I was not drawing with my basic knowledge of perspective or anatomy involved to anything that I was doing. It was just purely based on style and memorization and copying, which I just essentially call the mimicry style. I realized that I needed to change that and I needed to learn something, right? I needed to learn more about the things that my career involved because it's my career, right? This is what I want to do for a living. So why am I skimping? Like I thought about it like this, like would a plumber ever fight the idea of not knowing how to fit a pipe? Or would a dentist be like, oh, I don't want to do those crowns. I don't want to do those extractions. So we're not going to do it. Nah, you wouldn't do that. So as an artist, why do we subject ourselves to not see things or try to practice our perspective more often? Even though it helps us, even though it is quintessential for our growth if you want to get better, and it's just something that is going to help you so much like down the line. So you not doing it is essentially like a little form of self-harm when it comes down to your career. Like not doing it is your ego, or I don't know what it like is that some people have. Like they just refuse the concept of knowing that they might not know perspective enough, or that they already know it and they don't want to revisit it. They don't want to go back and like try new things. It's just like annoying to meet people that don't have the drive, but they have the possibility and potential to be able to create all these awesome things, right? And they won't do it just because it's going to be a little inconveniencing to them to be able to go back and revisit the things that they should have known in the beginning. Can you give a short tutorial on foots from the front? How do I start learning to draw? You start learning to draw through repetition and through steps like this, right? Like I talk you guys through everything. I talk you guys through learning how to draw absolutely everything in 5 steps. 5 steps can get you to where you just draw basic shape all the way to drawing really cool characters. I explained this in 2 hours. So if you can probably learn how to draw decently, not perfectly, but like straight up decently in 2 hours if you gotta watch that video. So it should be uploaded to YouTube like a little bit after I'm finished with my lesson today. But I think our lesson is almost pretty much done. So I don't see much more space to draw in. I think we have successfully completed another page. We are very close to finishing this sketchbook. We are like 3 pages away from finishing this sketchbook, which will be awesome because then we have a sketchbook tour and then we get art block number 3. So as we finish these, we just get them set up for print and then you guys have access to them. My YouTube channel is under Rodgon the Artist. And yeah, I just noticed that my nails are really dirty too. But this is just from working on my motorcycle. But I promise to clean my nails. Can you show the T-Rex again? Oh, that's not the Jurassic Park thing. Ta-da! Is your book to learn how to draw or for art block? Well, you can use it as both. It's meant to help you get rid of your art block. That is why I made them. But I like people going into the book. Like, it's not a looking book. It's not a book that you just buy to look at, right? It's a book that you grab and you buy so you can start practicing the shapes for yourself, right? You can grab it and start drawing on it and next to it. And it's meant for you to practice these elements. It's meant for you to grab this, grab a piece of paper if you want, right? You can just be like, okay, we're going to draw a leg today. Cool. That's how you draw a leg. Okay, cool. Awesome. Oh, wait. I don't know how to draw a leg from behind. Hold on. Cool. Now I can draw a leg from behind because I have my reference right there. Oh, cool. Do you want to draw a cool pose? Okay, cool. Let's flip to a page that has a cool pose. I don't know. Let's do this one. And I want to draw that character, but I don't want to use that one. I want to use something different. I'm just going to grab this and I'm going to start tracing my character and then using that as a reference to draw whatever the hell I want, right? That's why I sell these books. And so you guys can go in and not have to worry about your placement. You guys can just go in and add your style and depending on whatever you want to do. Let's make a panda out of Juggernaut. Right? And it's going to be the easiest time you have coming back from a funk because it's going to be already pretty much given to you. So that is the point of the book, to learn through writing, from drawing, from copying. If you want to draw a cool pinup, just find the page that has a pinup and then just draw over it and see what you can do. Like, see if you can figure out how everything is constructed. Right? This is why the book is there. This is why I released the book. This is why I want you guys to use that as your tool, right? It allows you the ability to draw anything in the entire, and there's thousands of drawings, guys. There's thousands of them, right? It's not like 100, it's 100 pages, period, of chock full of reference. So you guys can use those and apply your own styling to the things. And it's thousands of things. So it's like in all sorts of perspectives, all sorts of angles, all sorts of layers. So if you don't know how to draw something, just go look for it, hunt it like Where's Waldo type of thing, and then learn it. And if you guys still want to learn something on top of that, pay attention to what it says in the top and then just match it to the YouTube video that we did it in. So you guys can go and you guys can go watch the video as I do these things. So the red thing on the pen is just a grip. It's just a grip so my hands don't hurt. So, again, if you guys feel like supporting and helping out a person that's trying to help you guys out, Art Block! Yay! Art Block! Woo! Go check it out. Thank you guys so much for being my sketching buddies today. Thank you for helping me complete one more page in my book and also helping me learn how to teach something new. That is something that I do not normally have the time to say thank you for, but I appreciate you guys for helping me learn through teaching. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. I hope you guys learned a little bit, and I will see you guys tonight for another stream later tonight, maybe around like 10 or 11 o'clock p.m. Pacific. Okay? So if you guys feel like drawing tonight, be my sketching buddies, come draw with me. And if you guys do it on your own time, feel free to go check out all the YouTube channel and Instagram for other feedback and other thousands of posts that are going to be helpful. Thousands, yes, thousands on Instagram of helpful posts, right? Thousands. Not hundreds, not dozens, thousands. So you guys feel free to go check all that stuff out on your own leisure. Thank you for being my buddies. Have a wonderful day. And as I always say, live a little, love a little, laugh a little, and draw a lot. Okay? Take care, everybody.